Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this overview on research and development. Do you know if your clients are undertaking research and development activities? Are you familiar as an accountant or a business advisor with research and development? I find it very interesting that the research and development legislation is part of the Income Tax Act, but many accountants seem to try to avoid being involved with research and development. I suspect because they think it's a big end of town activity, and that perhaps you need to be a scientist or an engineer to be able to advise someone on research and development. I beg to differ. Research and development is a systematic progress of working through business experiments that have to be documented. There is a fair bit of paperwork involved. There is forms and budgets and processes and the registration form and ultimately the income tax return. That's all what in modern business world we deem as being accountant's work. So why would a very important section of the Income Tax Act, which relates to research and development, be ignored by so many accountants? And when you ignore it, you run the risk that an entrepreneurial client who may have been undertaking the research and development activities goes off and talks to someone else, a larger accounting firm that tells him they can advise on that product, research and development. Or they might go to a big four firm or to another type of consultancy. I think you as a practitioner, irrespective of what size of firm you are, need to have an awareness of research and development, need to be communicating to your clients that you have an awareness so that you can advise them on what to do. And what sort of advice are they looking for? Well, first of all, to be able to claim research and development under the research and development tax offset rules, they need to be a company. Now, they can be any type of company, but they need to be a company. Unfortunately, a large number of businesses undertake research and development thinking they're going to be able to claim the special taxation benefits and then find out they cannot because they haven't been incorporated as a company. So my suggestion is include research and development in the general communication that you send to your clients throughout the year, because many of them undertake their research and development activities in total secrecy. They've read all the reports that get published by patent attorneys and lawyers that they need to protect their intellectual property and the confidentiality. And unfortunately, that extends to some of them not discussing it openly with you as their key business advisor. One way to break that lack of communication or fear of communication from your clients is for you to be talking about research and development in your communications to your clients, so that your clients and potentially prospects are alerted that you can advise them on research and development and help them on that journey. Now, some of you might be saying, well, we know nothing about it, but that's where I come in, because I was very much aware of research and development because I've been involved with it with clients in my own firm. And for 11 years, my consulting business had a contract with Oz Industry to supply specialised consulting services to help people who had undertaken research and development to be able to commercialise their ideas, their new products, their services. So I learned a lot in that period. So we've developed a step-by-step process that comprises over 50 forms to assist you, 11 papers that we've written on various aspects of research and development, 12 presentation forms to guide you through the process, and other general information that allows you to be able to undertake these sort of professional services with your clients. So what would you advise someone that walked into your office to talk to you about research and development? Let's work through it. It's part of the Income Tax Act. And you need to make sure your client understands that. The cutoff for the determination of the benefits that apply for the offset is $20 million in turnover. So if you're only acting for SME clients, you're only interested in the rules that apply to a company with less than $20 million. But some of you will be acting for clients that have got turnovers over $20 million. For clients with turnovers under $20 million in their companies, and the turnover could be zero or very close to zero, the tax offset is calculated on the legitimate research and development expenditure, which we'll go into in a bit more detail in a moment, that is multiplied by a rebate rate, which is the company's tax rate for a company with a turnover under $20 million, plus a premium of 18.5%. So currently that will equate to 43.5% as the calculating figure on the legitimate research and development expenditure. So if the company has spent $100,000 on legitimate research and development expenditure in the year, the rebate would be $43,500. If the company is trading at a loss and its turnover is under $20 million, there is a refundable component built into these rules that we can thank the John Howard government of about 10 or 12 years ago when they introduced this to help people undertaking research and development to get some cash flow back into their businesses. So for companies with turnovers under $20 million who are trading at a loss, the company is able to make a claim in its income tax return that it wants the benefit of the offset, the 43.5% of eligible expenditure, as long as that is less than the company's tax loss for the year, to be paid as a bank transfer into the company's bank account. And the government has asked the tax office to try to ensure that this occurs within 30 days of the company lodging its tax return. So it's a great service, and it's why you hear about companies seeking to have the registration form prepared and lodged in July, and their income tax returns lodged in late July or early August, because what they're chasing is the refund that the tax office is going to supply to them if they're trading at a legitimate loss. And obviously they need to have completed the registration form, which I'm going to refer to shortly. Now, if the company has a turnover over $20 million, it's a different system. There's a 2% research and development intensity. Now, this is calculated by the legitimate research and development expenditure when divided by the company's total expenditure. If that figure is under 2%, the company will receive a R&D premium of 8.5% on top of the company's tax rate. So if the company tax rate is, for a company with a turnover over $20 million is, say, 26%, that would mean that the company is receiving a R&D tax offset of 34%, 34.5%, to be accurate. If the research and development intensity is above 2%, when expressed on the total expenditure of the company, the premium is 16.5%. So if the company tax rate is 26% and we're adding 16.5%, my sums say that that's 42.5%. And obviously, if it's a different corporate tax rate applicable, that's going to slightly change the calculation of the offset. One other very important point to note, if you're acting for clients with turnovers over $20 million, they do not receive the cash refundable component. Even if they are trading at a loss, the rebate is carried forward, or the tax offset, sorry, is carried forward for future years. So that's how the system works. The company needs to establish a formal approach to research and development because, as I said at the outset, there is records to be kept. You are having to, or your client is having to satisfy the tax office and Oz industry that these research activities were justified in the first place and that they have actually been carried out. There's been experiments, there's documentation. The first thing to check is whether someone's already done this somewhere in the world and published papers or registered patents, and this is called prior art searches. Now they need to be conducted by reference to professional literature, talking to academics and expert consultants, and working the internet, going through and trying to find out if someone has already solved this problem. Because the Australian government is not going to make a tax advantage available to an Australian company to reinvent the wheel, that someone has already invented a solution to that problem and has published it. Now, if they haven't published it, your client can't find out about it, can they? Therefore, it's not going to be disclosed, so they can proceed. But they need to keep the documentation. You've got to remember to remind your clients that this whole process is being done, typical to most taxation ideas, on a self-assessment basis. And initially, the tax office and Oz industry will accept what your client's saying to them. They have been instructed by the government to process these claims promptly, but they reserve the right to come back and do a further check, to do an audit, and that might be up to 4 years later. So the researchers that worked on a project for your client's company might no longer be employed by the company. They might no longer be in Australia, because the clients that I've worked with on this seem to have a lot of overseas residents, students, academics having a year off that have worked on their projects. So there's other issues involved in all this as well besides taxation, and that's making sure that the system that your client's using protects their intellectual property and there's appropriate documentation that's been signed by all of the team. Within ESS BIZTOOLS, we have developed a complete system of step-by-step processes to guide your client through this and also to guide you. So within our system, there is a package for you to work through, and we have a package that you can upload to your client's computer, because the client is primarily responsible for the maintenance of these records. They need to identify what the problem is. They need to identify that they have conducted prior art searches. They need to develop a research and development project plan. That plan and a budget as to what it's going to cost should be submitted to their board of directors for approval. They then need to put a team together. Timesheets or other means of recording the time that people spend on a project needs to be recorded. All of the costs need to be documented. The hypothesis needs to be looked at because they need to identify core activities. What are they trying to do? What's this experiment all about? And then they set out to either prove or disprove the hypothesis. And all of those steps needs to be recorded because they're experiments. And then the conclusions that they've reached need to be documented. And all of that information needs to be included in the research and development in tax incentive application that has to be lodged with Oz Industry 10 months after the end of the financial year, which is for a 30th of June year is obviously the 30th of April the following year. Now, it can be lodged a lot earlier. As I said a little while ago, people who understand the refund process, if they're trading at a loss, can be very keen to have all of this done in July or early August so that they've got a chance of getting this refund from the Australian Taxation Office in late August, September. It helps their cash flow in their businesses. And you need to be aware of this because the client mightn't quite spell some of these things out to you, but you could be promoting it as a service that you're offering to this group of entrepreneurs. And one of the real benefits for an accounting firm is you don't know how big this little idea is going to grow to. This could be a great product. We've only got to watch the newspapers or read the newspapers and watch the news bulletins to realise there are a number of Australian entrepreneurs that have done very well over the last few years. I was reading about a gentleman last night that's now worth $82 billion. Not bad for a software developer in Australia. And he's got a partner in the business. So I assume someone else is also worth $82 billion. That's fantastic, I think. But they all started as very small business people, didn't they? And they would have been doing research and development at some stage. I assume they claimed it. And I assume they were helped by very capable accounting people. Why can't you do the same? I think you should be on the alert. Australia's overall expenditure on research and development is still very low when compared to the top 20 industrialised countries on earth. But hopefully that's going to continue to grow. And this is a service that you can be supplying to your clients. And some of them will grow. Some of them will then need assistance to be able to apply for a accelerating commercialization grant to help them commercialize their invention. And some will then be looking for assistance to get themselves ready to be able to raise capital as a early stage innovation company or a crowdsourced funding company. And then some of them will be looking for financial services on an ongoing basis, virtual CFO services that your firm could provide. So it can grow into a significant range of services that will be financially very beneficial to your firm, will offer your accounting team members interesting and challenging work to perform. As I said at the beginning, ESS BIZTOOLS has developed a full product package to assist you to deliver research and development services to your clients. And we upgrade it every year. In July, I upgrade it once I see what the tax office and Oz Industries have dreamt up for the New Year's registration forms. Why not join us? Why not go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, and have a look at not only the research and development product package, but all of the packages, 32 of them, that we have developed to assist accountants like you to be able to offer value-adding services to your small, medium enterprise clients. If you want to talk to me, please contact me. You can phone me on 1-800-232-088 or send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And I'll be very happy to arrange a Zoom meeting with you, a complimentary 45-minute discussion where you can tell me a little bit about your team, your firm, your clients, and I will give you my advice as to what I think the business advisory services package that you need to help your firm really offer outstanding, diversified services to your clients. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.